Hi everyone, my name is Ryan Tani. I am the music director of the Occasional Symphony in Baltimore, and I am here in this lovely home with Mr. Stanley Cowell, jazz pianist extraordinaire, entrepreneur, educator, composer. Is there anything that you don't do?
Yeah, there are many things that I do.
Two things. First, I'd like to give the viewers, the listeners, an idea of your musical background. A lot of Occasional Symphony's audience is used to us playing classical music, new music, and so this is a different kind of venue into a different musical style and a couple musical styles, right? So why don't you tell us a little bit about where your musical language came from?
Well, I kind of put various influences together over the years. I come from the Midwest, Toledo, Ohio, and I studied classical music, my classical piano, and my sisters, older sisters, studied and taught me at a very early age. And then I went on to hear other musics, entertainment music of my time, mostly jazz, which we still dance to at that time, but then there was rhythm and blues and rock and roll and all the contemporary popular idioms that began to emerge in the late 40s, early 50s when I was going into my teenage years. And then I heard jazz, and I heard certain performers that made me really want to try to play the piano in that style. And then I started doing little gigs around town, playing and getting paid, and I also was a church organist and choir director for a while. So all of that led to a mix of influences right there. The classical, from both playing organ music and pipe organ study also. The next phase would be going to college, and I was fortunate to go to Oberlin Conservatory, which was not too far from my home, and studied for 4 years there. 1 year was an exchange program to Austria. So I studied in Salzburg, which was Mozart's hometown. And that was another influence. And I also continued my connection with jazz players over there.
I'm actually really intrigued by your experience and your kind of upbringing in the pipe organ tradition. So how would you say that influenced your later style?
Now, I went back to piano. I was a piano major at Oberlin. After Oberlin, I went into and an organ minor for a couple of years at Oberlin. But I really wanted to focus on the piano. And the influence, of course, is orchestral thinking, especially with the organ, in that you have, it's like an orchestra.
You have a whole set of sounds at your fingertips.
With several keyboards and foot pedals. It's a keyboard down at your feet. So that opens your mind to greater contrapuntal and many voice thinking. And I also began to study composition at Oberlin, which the combination of all those things, plus my interest in getting to the roots of jazz and the prehistory of jazz, which would take me into ethnomusicology and African music, and a taste of other musics that I began to see jazz musicians employing in their compositions in jazz.
Right. Well, in a little bit we'll talk a little bit more about the ethnomusicology part, the external influences. I'm sure that your travels have kind of impacted those, but I'd like to kind of just ask you a bit about, a little bit more about your jazz roots and the specific musicians and influences that kind of jump-started that. I understand that you had an important kind of seminal moment of early inspiration when you knowing Art Tatum in the early years, hearing him perform.
Yes.
What was that experience like?
Well, I had never heard piano played in such a powerful way, and everything was so precise, and it was, of course, in jazz idiom. He had taken a popular song by Rodgers and Hart and called "You Took Advantage of Me," and he just played it so fantastically on our little spinet bed at the time, which I was 6 years old, before I eventually got a grand. But my father and Art Tatum had grown up together, and so when Art was visiting Toledo, he popped in, and it was so much piano that he played. He insisted that I play for him first, out of John Thompson Book 3. I think I played Arkansas Traveler or something like that. And then he sat down and just...
Lots of notes.
Yeah. So I could think of it as he was trying to show me something, you know, well, you can expand your horizons, try to do this.
Right. And I think that kind of spirit has kind of led your career. You as an educator, kind of a lifelong professional learner.